Hello there. Welcome to the overview of the four main learning theories in Educational Psychology 305 taught by Professor Dimmitt. Educational psychology is the use of psychological research, concepts, and theories to understand how children learn and to develop effective teaching skills for working with students. So what is development? Development is changes that are understood to be biologically based yet profoundly shaped by context. These changes are complex. Changes are in a logical sequence, and also changes that support a person's capacity to respond to environmental demands, i.e. survival. One of the best-known theory on the context of development is Bronfenbrenner's bioecological theory of development. This theory emphasizes the combined function of a person and the many systems that exist in the environment and interact to influence development. The five contexts shown here are the macrosystem, mesosystem, exosystem, macrosystem, and chronosystem. So since we know what development is, the next important question to ask is, how do we learn? Well, the definition of learning is any relatively permanent change in our thoughts, feelings, or behavior that results from experience. And there are four main learning theories that delve deep into the different ways of learning. These four learning theories are the behavioral learning theory, cognitive learning theory, information process learning theory, and the constructivist learning theory. Behavioral learning theory is the learning theory that mainly focuses on objectively observable behavior. One of the main categories of behavioral learning theory is classical conditioning. Classical conditioning is based on the pairing of involuntary behaviors with events that do not evoke an automatic response. Examples of this is Ivan Petrovich Pavlov's famous classical conditioning paradigm with dogs, which can be seen in this image. In this paradigm, Pavlov has conditioned the dog to elicit a conditioned response, salivation, to a stimulus that was once neutral, the whistle, but has now become a conditioned stimulus with the help of the unconditioned stimulus, which was the food. The second main category of the behavioral learning theory is operant conditioning, which is similar to classical conditioning, except for the fact that it includes new voluntary behavior. For example, middle school and high school students have been conditioned to always go to their next class just by hearing the sound of a bell. Next is the social cognitive learning theory, which was constructed by Albert Bandura when he began studying how individuals could learn by observing others' experiences in the environment. This theory is the relatively enduring change in the mental structure of a learner that create the potential to demonstrate different behaviors. For example, one can witness this observational learning through the Bobo doll study, where children learn aggressive behavior through observing older figures. Bandura has expanded his theory of observational learning to include variables unique to individuals. The advances in his theory led to the triadic reciprocal determinism model of causality to explain that behavior, environment, and person have bidirectional influences on each other. Bandura has also extensively studied individuals' belief in his or her capabilities to succeed. He came to the conclusion that those with high self-efficacy believe that they are capable of succeeding, and those with low self-efficacy think that they are likely to fail. Next is the information process learning theory. The information process learning theory is a relatively enduring change in mental structures or memory that occurs as a result of the interaction of an individual with the environment. A simpler way of learning the information process learning theory is through this three-stage model of information processing. Stage 1 is sensory memory. Stage 2, working memory. And Stage 3 is long-term memory. Sensory memory holds fleeting sensory data that we register but do not yet process. And that then leads to working memory, where we process information and maintain new information in a heightened state of activity. This then leads into long-term memory, which enables storage of a huge amount of information and retains it for days, weeks, or years. When using the information process learning theory, teachers will also want to teach their children about metacognitive skills, which is essentially just thinking about thinking. By teaching metacognitive skills, students will learn the different study tactics that work best for them, and also learn the different ways that they can process information in order for it to be transferred from working memory to their long-term memory. Lastly is the constructivist learning theory. This theory states that we understand all new information only in context of prior information, and construct new knowledge based on that intersection of old and new. This theory includes several other theories, such as information process learning theory and social cognitive learning theory.
created using Powtoon.